What's good, everyone? Welcome back to another gear guide video, and this time I am focusing on Thor and his technical power gear set from his exotic gear set as well, and that is called the Thunderer gear set. So the Thunderer gear set is also a gear set that Jane has, but Thor also has the same gear set with different perks. So let's go ahead and have an in-depth look at his technical power gear set and show you what exotics you can get within that gear set. So we will start off with the heroic piece. So with the heroic piece, like you guys have seen in my videos, that can roll with Valor, Might, Precision, Valor and Precision. So depending on what build you're making, if you're going with melee, go with Valor and Might. If you're going with range, go with Valor and Precision. But this is basically a new heroic piece that he has. However, if you do have the old heroic piece from the technical power gear set, which is this one, I highly recommend using this one, and I'll explain to you guys why. So we'll first have a look at this Asgards Dominion. This one is actually pretty good as a first perk. Increases all damage dealt with overcharge by 20%. So when you use your ultimate heroic ability, you can, let's say for example, be in an overcharged state, and you'll be able to do increased damage because you are in that overcharged state. Then you got Assault Empowerment, 61.8% chance activating Assault Heroic grants an intrinsic burst. So that'll actually help you with your Odin Force ability. Then we got Warrior's Fury extension, increase the duration of your support ability Warrior Fury by 8.5 seconds. So this is like the newer version. This came after a recent patch. If you have the older version, the reason I like this one better is because it has a second perk, Lightning Potentiator, and since Thor can apply shock damage easily, the Lightning Potentiator is very useful on any type of build you're running, but preferably a range build. It really works out. And Odin's Flight is actually a really good perk to have if you're also running a range build. And if you haven't seen my Thor range build video, I will leave a link in the description. Make sure you guys check that out. I actually got a lot of nice god roll pieces, and the build is pretty simple to use. So with Odin's Flight, increase the regeneration speed of your Odin Force intrinsic energy while flying by 30%. So again, if you're in a range build, you're always going to be in the air most of the time anyway, storing your hammer. This is a good perk that will cater to that kind of play style. So this is a heroic piece from the technical power gear set, also known as a Thunderer, but this is the new one. You can also go with this. Out of this gear set, I will probably say this is one of the best gear pieces you can get, is a heroic slot. So if you are a new Thor player, you can go for this heroic slot. Next up, we got the Chestplate of the Thunderer. This is a defensive slot. It can roll with defensive stats, for example, Resilience, Resolve, and also will come with Intensity. Sometimes you can get 2 out of the 3 stats as well. This is probably the second best piece you can get from his technical power gear set. And the reason why I say it's the second best is because of the first perk, Asgard's Insight, increased the rate of heroic energy regeneration while overcharge by 3.2%. And you guys already know heroic energy regeneration will help you get your heroic abilities back a little bit quicker. And then it also has a Rampant Rush, increased willpower regeneration while overcharged by 25%. Willpower is health for any new players if you guys don't know that. So that's also a pretty good perk. And then you also have Odin Force Safeguard. But I would recommend getting the heroic piece first, just because it does have better perks and it will become more useful for your Thor build. Moving on to the range build. So again, with all range and melee pieces when it comes to this particular technical power gear set, for any heroes, they can come with various different status effects. So just remember that. But this one can roll with proficiency, intensity, and also can come with precision. But it has Odin Force Amplifier, 25% increased status damage from Odin Force attacks. If you guys are not aware of Odin Force attacks, that's when you're basically, mashing your right trigger button and bringing down that lightning. So that can help with that. Then I have the Cosmic status effect, range power text, inflict cosmic damage. And then you also have the Guided Hammer. This is something I really don't use on my Thor build, but if you do come across this, it might become useful if you are, again, a new Thor player. But again, Make sure you just aim for the heroic piece, then the defensive piece. Melee slot, we have proficiency in might. This one is a melee piece that can be good at times, but it has the Odin Force surplus, 10% increased Odin Force energy. So that's relating to your intrinsic ability. And then you always want to make sure if you are getting a melee piece with Thor, because of his signature attack ability being his strongest melee type combo, you want to make sure you get signature attacks as a second perk. So I have signature attacks with Gamma, so you can see that there. And then we have Warrior's Fury Destruction, 20% increased stun status and overall damage while your support ability, Warrior Fury, is active. So pretty good melee piece. So if I did have to like rank them, I'll say heroic slot number 1, defensive slot number 2, melee slot number 3, and then the range slot is number 4. But like I mentioned, always make sure you try and get that heroic slot. And again, if you do have the old one, try and use that one, especially if you're doing a ranged Thor build. Now moving on to where to get these gear pieces. You can get it from the Elite Weekly Vaults. You can get it from the Daily Vaults, but it does have a very low drop rate. Or you can get it from the Red Room Takeover event, whenever that's happening. You can get an exotic gear piece when you complete these objectives, and then you'll receive that exotic gear piece for Thor. And one thing I also wanted to show you quickly is, because I did mention in all my other videos, you can get legendary versions of these gear pieces. So one of those type of legendary versions that you can get is, let me see if I have one. Do I have it still? I probably don't have it, but I'll show you an example of, again, something that was previously in the game, but it kind of works the same way. So like I mentioned in my previous gear guide videos, especially with the technical power gear set, the third perk can always change, right? So this is a legendary version I have of this. Okay, so just let's go back to it. This is the legendary version. So it comes with the first 2 perks, Asgards Dominion, and then the Lightning Potentiator. So you guys can see the first 2 perks are the same, but the third perk is different. And the third perk can really help. So for example, I was lucky enough to have Ultimate Assistance. That helps with my Ultimate Heroic ability. So sometimes you can get it with the Berserker buff, which is like a damage buff. Sometimes you can get like heroic support recharge ability. So you can get different perks at that third slot. And usually the legendary version can be available in the Helicarrier, in the vendor where Roy's at. So Roy, the vendor in the Helicarrier, he sometimes will have this. If not, if you run the Elite Vaults like I mentioned, or Daily Vaults, you can get a legendary version of these exotics as well. But with the new one, like I mentioned, most likely if you get a legendary version of the new one, the third perk will be different. Alright, so I've told you guys where to get all the exotics. I've told you guys which ones I highly recommend. And if you guys do have any questions, let me know in the comments below. I'm out. You guys take care. Peace.